There will be times when you are disrespected, publicly, privately, subtly, or directly. And in that moment, everything inside you will want to rise, speak, defend, explain, or retaliate. But true strength is not shown in how loudly you react. It is shown in how calmly you choose your silence. Silence is not weakness. It is wisdom. When someone disrespects you, they are often speaking from their own wounds, insecurities, or ignorance. It has less to do with you and more to do with them. Why should you let their chaos infect your inner stillness? Silence is the ultimate response to weakness because it refuses to feed the fire of ego that so many people are trapped in. When someone disrespects you, insults you, or tries to pull you into their emotional storm, what they are really doing is projecting their own instability, their own hurt, their own inner chaos. They want you to respond, to react, to mirror their level of dysfunction so they can justify their behavior and feel less alone in their misery. But when you stay silent, when you choose not to react, not to bite the bait, you break the cycle of reaction that they are so used to. You step outside of their trap and into your own calm awareness. You become the mirror in which they see themselves clearly, without distortion, without distraction. Your silence forces them to confront the emptiness of their words, the shallowness of their attacks. It makes them uncomfortable because they expected noise, resistance, retaliation. And instead, they find nothing but the weight of their own intentions falling flat. Silence in the face of weakness is not about retreating. It is about holding a space of power so strong that it doesn't need to prove itself. The truly powerful don't need to announce their strength. A lion doesn't roar when a dog barks. A mountain does not tremble at the sound of thunder. It simply remains unmoved, grounded in its presence. In the same way, when you meet weakness with silence, you send a message louder than any spoken word that your peace is not up for negotiation. Your energy is not available for drama, and your mind is not vulnerable to chaos. In that stillness, you reclaim your power. You protect your inner world. You rise above the level of attack and refuse to descend into a lower vibration. People may misinterpret your silence as fear, but those who under strength will recognize it for what it truly is, a conscious decision to prioritize wisdom over ego, awareness over reaction, and growth over argument. Energy is precious. Not just the physical energy that moves your body through the day, but the mental, emotional, and spiritual energy that fuels your focus, peace, creativity, and growth. Every word you speak, every thought you entertain, every emotion you invest in, it all consumes this limited, sacred resource. And when you spend that energy on people who drain you, disrespect you, or seek to provoke reactions from you, you're not just wasting time, you're diverting your life force from things that matter. There are people who thrive off conflict, who pull others into arguments not to seek resolution, but to feel powerful in the chaos they create. They bait you with disrespect because your attention feeds them. They don't want understanding. They want dominance, control, validation of their insecurities. And if you're not careful, you'll find yourself exhausted, not because you worked hard to build something meaningful, but because you were manipulated into defending your worth to someone who never intended to see it in the first place. You must become intentional with where your energy flows, like a master of your own internal economy. Would you pour clean water into a cracked glass that leaks? Would you invest in something that only subtracts from your peace without offering any return? Yet every time you argue with someone who doesn't deserve a response, every time you try to prove a point to someone committed to misunderstanding you, every time you dwell on words meant to hurt you, you are doing exactly that, leaking energy into emptiness. That energy could have been used to heal, to grow, to create, to connect with someone who truly values your presence, to deepen your practice, your purpose, or your peace. And protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's survival. It's the recognition that you cannot build a meaningful life if your emotional reserves are constantly being spent on people and situations that offer no light, no growth, no clarity. There is strength in knowing when to walk away. in refusing to argue with those who gain nothing from resolution and everything from your reaction. You are not responsible for correcting every misunderstanding, fixing every broken soul, or responding to every provocation. Your responsibility is to yourself, your focus, your vision, and the quiet force that moves you toward becoming who you are meant to be. Ego seeks reaction because it thrives on validation, attention, and control. It cannot stand to be ignored, questioned, or diminished, and so it lashes out when it feels threatened, disrespected, or unseen. The ego interprets every challenge as an attack, every disagreement as a personal insult, and every silence as a form of rejection. It craves the last word, the louder voice, the upper hand. It wants to prove itself right, even doing so costs peace, clarity, or truth. The ego reacts impulsively, driven by emotion, fueled by pride, always needing to protect the fragile image it has built of itself. And when someone disrespects us, it is the ego that urges us to fight back, to defend, to retaliate, to speak even when silence would serve us more. But the deeper self, the disciplined mind, moves differently. It doesn't rush into conflict. It pauses, it watches, it asks, what is really happening here? Is this about me or about them? What is the intention behind this moment, and what can I learn from it? Discipline seeks understanding because it knows that not every insult deserves a reply. Not every battle needs to be fought, and not every emotion must be expressed. Discipline creates distance between stimulus and response, giving space for awareness to enter. It sees the bigger picture, the long game. It recognizes that reacting in anger may feel powerful for a moment, but it often leads to regret and wasted energy. True discipline understands that inner mastery means not being pulled in by every disturbance, not letting others control your emotional state. It seeks clarity, not chaos. It values peace over pride. When someone disrespects a disciplined person, that person doesn't crumble or explode. They observe. They ask themselves, is this person acting from their own pain? What would silence teach here? What would understanding reveal? They know that maturity is found in restraint, that growth often comes from choosing not to respond when the ego is screaming to be heard. This is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the power of someone who has chosen presence over performance, who no longer needs to prove their strength because they embody it in stillness. The ego wants noise, discipline wants truth, and in the quiet space between those two paths, your character is revealed. Not every battle is yours to fight, because not every challenge, insult, or confrontation is worthy of your presence. There are people who will try to provoke you simply to pull you down into their chaos, people who fight not for resolution but for attention. And if you answer every attack, you will spend your life in constant reaction mode, never truly moving forward. You must learn to discern which conflicts matter and which are simply distractions dressed in urgency. When someone disrespects you, criticizes you unfairly, or tries to diminish your light, the immediate impulse may be to defend yourself, to correct them, to set the record straight. But wisdom whispers otherwise. Wisdom says that time will expose what needs to be seen, and silence can say what words never could. There is strength in restraint, power in choosing peace over proving a point. Every time you decide to walk away from a petty argument or an unworthy conflict, you protect your focus, your peace, and your progress. Not all storms deserve your presence. Some situations are designed to pull you away from your higher path, to engage your ego and make you forget your purpose. There are battles that look important but are just noise, battles that feed your pride but starve your spirit. You do not need to correct every lie told about you, confront every critic, or answer every attack. Your life's mission is not to react but to evolve. There is a deeper strength in staying aligned with your values, even when others misunderstand you or misrepresent you. People will talk, provoke, insult, but your response determines whether you rise above it or get stuck in it. True warriors do not fight every fight. They choose their ground wisely, conserve their energy for what truly matters, and understand that some victories are found in silence, in walking away, in letting go. When you no longer feel the need to prove yourself to those who do not even see you clearly, you begin to taste real freedom. The world is full of noise, full of battles calling your name, but only a few are worthy of your attention. The rest are invitations to fall out of alignment, to lose your center, to be pulled away from the life you are here to build. Inner stillness defeats outer chaos because it is the unshakable foundation upon which clarity, wisdom, and strength are built. When the world outside is loud, unpredictable and aggressive, when people disrespect you, challenge you, or throw negativity in your path, the only true control you have is over the state of your inner world. And if that inner world is calm, grounded, and quiet, then no matter how loud the storm gets around you, it cannot pull you under. Chaos thrives on reaction. It feeds on your triggers, your impulses, your need to respond or correct or retaliate. But when you remain still within yourself, when you resist the urge to match the noise with more noise, you create space between you and the chaos. You shift from being inside the storm to being the eye of the storm, a place of stillness in the middle of turmoil. This stillness doesn't mean you are blind or passive. It means you are aware but not controlled, present but not consumed. Inner stillness is not something that comes from outside validation or a perfect environment. It is cultivated through practice, self-discipline, and the willingness to stay centered when everything around you tries to pull you off balance. In the face of disrespect, stillness is the power that says, I see what is happening, but I will not become it. I recognize the energy being projected toward me, but I choose not to absorb it. I understand the chaos, but I do not invite it into my mind. This kind of stillness is a shield. It protects your peace, your perspective, your power. It keeps your vision clear when emotions are high and distractions are many. It allows you to respond with purpose instead of reacting with pain. When you have cultivated inner stillness, you begin to see how unnecessary most reactions are. How many conflicts dissolve when you stop feeding them. How many provocations lose their power when you do not engage. The world may try to shake you, to test you, to tempt you into disorder, but it is your stillness that renders their efforts powerless. Respect yourself enough to stay silent when your words would only be wasted. When the conversation has turned into a performance rather than an exchange, when the other person is more interested in being right than in being real. Silence in these moments is not avoidance, it is self-honor. It is the recognition that your peace, your mental clarity, and your emotional well-being are too valuable to trade for the temporary satisfaction of being heard by someone who doesn't truly want to listen. When you stay silent in the face of disrespect, you send a powerful message, not to them, but to yourself. You affirm that you no longer feel the need to explain your worth, to fight for space in rooms where you're not respected, or to prove your truth to those who are committed to misunderstanding it. Silence becomes a boundary, an act of self-respect, and a quiet declaration that your energy is sacred and not available for those who mishandle it. There is strength in restraint, in not offering pieces of yourself to people who only take and never give. Not everyone deserves your story, your time, your attention, or your emotions. When someone disrespects you, the ego may scream to react, to speak, to defend, but self-respect reminds you that not every invitation to conflict needs to be accepted. There is a kind of dignity that cannot be touched by insults or diminished by ignorance, a strength that does not shoot, but simply walks away. And when you choose silence in such moments, you are not shrinking. You are standing tall in your own stillness. You are refusing to make yourself small just to meet someone in their chaos. You are choosing to remain rooted in your own values, rather than get swept away in someone else's storm. Respecting yourself means knowing when to speak and when to hold your tongue, and to engage and when to exit, when to express and when to preserve. And often, the highest form of respect is in the silence that protects your inner world, while the outer world tries to pull you into noise you've outgrown.